The Great Hall on Nexus Prime was bigger than any building on Earth. It floated in space, a meeting place for 300 different alien species. They called themselves the Galactic Council. They had kept peace in the galaxy for 5,000 years. Today, they would laugh at a warning that could have saved them. Korthax the Timeless moved slowly to the center of the hall. His body was made of living crystal that had grown for 10,000 years. Each step he took made soft, ringing sounds like wind chimes. The younger species whispered when they saw him. Most had never seen a Zephyrian elder before. His kind rarely left their homeworld anymore. The hall grew quiet. When Korthax spoke, his voice sounded like singing glass. I bring a warning about a new species. They call themselves humans. They come from the third planet of a yellow star they named Sol. Admiral Zektar of the Vexari Empire made a rough sound that was his species' way of laughing. His body was covered in natural armor plates that clicked when he moved. Another primitive species? Why does this need the Council's time? We find new primitives every year. Korthax turned his crystal head toward the Admiral. Light bent through his body in strange ways. These are not ordinary primitives. My people have studied them. We have looked through time itself. What we have seen terrifies us. The Meridian ambassador floated forward. Her name was Selara, and her species looked like living mercury, beautiful and deadly. The Zephyrians are seeing shadows. These humans have barely left their planet. Look at them. She waved her silver hand, and images appeared in the air. The images showed Earth and its people. Humans walking on two legs, no claws, no natural weapons, soft skin that broke easily. They wore fabric to stay warm. They needed tools to do everything. They are weak, Selara continued. Their planet should have killed them long ago. The gravity is too high. The temperature changes too much. They have thousands of diseases, predators everywhere. Even their sun gives them cancer, yet somehow they survived. That makes them lucky, not dangerous. More species joined in the mockery. The Kalari representative, young to space travel himself, pointed out that humans still fought among themselves. The machine collective called the Synthesis ran calculations and announced that human technology was 900 years behind the galactic standard. But Korthax did not move. He waited for the laughter to stop. Then he spoke again. You see their bodies and think them weak. You see their technology and think them primitive. You do not see what my people have seen. He touched a crystal on his chest. New images filled the air. These were different. They showed possible futures, timeline observations that only the Zephyrians knew how to make. In every timeline we observed, the same pattern appears. When humans are threatened, they do not surrender. They do not run. They become something else. They bond with their enemies' enemies. They turn their weaknesses into strengths. They sacrifice themselves for strangers. They do impossible things because they refuse to believe they are impossible. The council grew quiet. The Zephyrians had never been wrong about timeline observations before. Korthax continued. They bond with anything. Their own history shows this. They took wolves, their predators, and made them companions they call dogs. They took wild plants and changed them into food. They took the lightning from their sky and put it in wires to power their cities. They even bond with machines, giving them names and mourning when they break. That is madness, said the Vexari Admiral. Yes, Korthax agreed. And that madness makes them unstoppable. Their minds work differently. Where we see problems, they see puzzles. Where we see death, they see a reason to fight harder. They have a word, spite. It means they will do something just to prove others wrong, even if it hurts them. On Earth's moon, hidden in a secret base, Captain Jake Sullivan watched this entire meeting. 3 months ago, his team had learned to intercept galactic communications. They had broken the quantum encryption that the aliens thought was unbreakable. "Aries, you getting all this, Amy?" Jake asked. Lieutenant Amy Foster nodded, her fingers flying over her keyboard. She was recording everything and translating in real time. "Every word, Captain. They have no idea we're listening." Dr. Kyle Morgan sat at another station, studying the alien technology visible in the transmission. Look at their ships in the background. Big, powerful, but built for comfort. They haven't had a real war in thousands of years. They've forgotten that technology doesn't win wars. People do. Jake's team was part of Project Watchtower, Earth's most secret program. When humanity had detected the first alien signals 2 years ago, the world's governments had done something unprecedented. They had united. Not publicly. The world's population didn't know about aliens yet, but in secret, old enemies worked together. "The crystal alien is trying to help us," said Private First Class Bobby Hall, the youngest member of the team. "Why?" "Maybe he's seen something we haven't," Jake replied. "Keep watching." Back in the council hall, Korthax was showing more images. Look at their history. They split the atom and used it as a weapon against themselves. They created diseases as weapons. They went to their moon in a tin can held together with math and determination. They live on a death world and call it home. "If they are so dangerous, we should destroy them now," suggested a representative from the outer reaches. "That is what you do not understand," Korthax said, his voice growing louder. "Attacking them is the worst thing you could do. In every timeline where someone attacks Earth, humans unite. They reverse engineer their enemy's technology in months, not centuries. They find weaknesses nobody else would think to look for. They do not just win. They make sure nobody ever threatens them again," the council murmured. Some were concerned. Most were still skeptical. "What do you suggest, Elder?" asked the council prime, a being of pure energy who had led the council for 1,000 years. "Leave them alone. Let them develop naturally. In 500 timelines, the ones where humans were left in peace became the galaxy's greatest explorers and protectors. They helped everyone. But in the timelines where they were attacked," Korthax paused, "they became something terrible. They became what their own stories call monsters." The vote was called. Only 17 species voted to mark Earth as dangerous. 283 voted to classify humans as a level 2, primitive species, harmless and to be ignored for at least another 1,000 years. Korthax left the hall slowly, but before he went, he did something unusual. He sent an encrypted message to the Synthesis, the machine collective. They were logical. They might understand. "When the humans come, and they will come, remember that I tried to warn you. They are not unstoppable because they are strong. They are unstoppable because they refuse to stop. Study them, learn from them, or you will learn to fear them." The Synthesis stored the message and began running new calculations. Something about the Elders' warning had triggered subroutines they didn't know they had. For the first time in their collective existence, the machines felt something like curiosity. On Earth's moon, Jake's team finished recording the session. Jake stood up and looked through the window at Earth below, blue and white and beautiful, fragile-looking, but full of 7 billion humans who had no idea that the galaxy had just dismissed them as harmless. "Send everything to command," Jake ordered. "Tell them the aliens think we're weak primitives." Amy smiled. "That's their first mistake." Kyle was already working on plans. "If they think we're primitive, they won't have their guards up. We need to learn everything about their technology. How they communicate, how they travel, how they fight. If they ever fight," Bobby added. "Sounds like they haven't had a real war in forever." Jake nodded. Humans knew war. They had been practicing on each other for all of history. Maybe that would finally be useful for something better. Protecting Earth. The warning had been given. The Council had ignored it. And on a small blue planet orbiting an ordinary yellow star, humanity continued to grow, to learn and to prepare for a future they could feel coming. They didn't know about the Council yet, but they knew they weren't alone, and humans had never been good at staying quiet when they knew someone was out there. 3 months had passed since the Galactic Council meeting. On the Vixari homeworld, Admiral Zektar stood before the Empire's War Council. The room was carved from black stone, lit by pools of glowing liquid that the Vixari had used for 10,000 years. "Earth has resources we need," Zektar said. His armor plates shifted as he moved, making clicking sounds that echoed off the walls. Water covers most of their planet. They have metals we can use. Their life forms can be harvested for genetic material. The council voted them harmless. Nobody will stop us from taking what we want. The Vexari Emperor, massive even for his species, sat on a throne made from the bones of an extinct race. What of the Zephyrians' warning? An old fool seeing shadows, Zektar replied. I have studied these humans myself. They can barely reach their own moon. Their weapons are chemical-based. They still use radio waves to communicate. My fleet could destroy their entire civilization in one rotation of their planet. The Emperor's 4 eyes focused on his admiral. How many ships do you need? 12 warships will be more than enough. Each one can destroy a continent. The humans will surrender when they see our power. The Emperor approved the mission. Within days, 12 Vexari warships gathered at the edge of their system. Each ship was 3 kilometers long, powered by antimatter cores, protected by energy shields that could stop asteroid impacts. They jumped to hyperspace, heading for Earth. On Earth, alarms screamed through the underground command center. General, Patricia Ross ran into the war room where screens covered every wall. Talk to me, people. 12 ships just entered the solar system, reported Major Carl Davis. They match Vexari design from our intercepted data. They're moving fast. They'll reach Earth in 6 hours. Patricia picked up a red phone. It connected directly to world leaders. This is General Ross. The aliens are here. 12 ships. We have 6 hours. Execute Operation Porcupine. Around the world, hidden facilities opened. Humanity had not been idle for 3 months. They had prepared. Every nation had contributed. Old enemies had shared their secrets. Scientists had worked without sleep. Captain Lisa Murphy was already in space, commanding Earth's first combat spacecraft, the Defiance. It wasn't pretty. It looked like someone had welded rocket engines to a submarine and added guns wherever. They fit, but it could fight. All stations report ready, said her second-in-command, Lieutenant Fred Carter. Lisa looked at her crew of 80 volunteers. They all knew this was probably a one-way trip. Hide us behind the moon. Let them think we're not here. The Vexari fleet arrived exactly on schedule. They positioned themselves in orbit around Earth, their ships spreading out to cover every continent. Admiral Zektar opened a communication channel. He had learned Earth languages from their radio signals. People of Earth. His voice boomed from every speaker on the planet. I am Admiral Zektar of the Vexari Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. You have 1 rotation of your world to surrender. If you resist, we will destroy your cities one by one until you submit. The response came quickly. A young man appeared on Zektar's view screen. He looked barely old enough to be a soldier, but he wore a uniform and spoke perfect Vexari. Admiral Zektar, this is Lieutenant Danny White of Earth Defense Command. We respectfully decline your offer. Please leave our system immediately. Zektar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of confusion. The human had spoken his language perfectly. That should have been impossible. You dare refuse? We will destroy you. Danny smiled. You can try. The transmission ended. Zektar roared, in anger. All ships, prepare to fire on their capital cities. That was when everything went wrong for the Vexari. Operation Porcupine began. For 3 months, humans had been moving asteroids. Not many, but enough. They had attached simple engines to space rocks and calculated trajectories. Now those asteroids accelerated toward the Vexari fleet at 20% the speed of light. The Vexari shields were designed for energy weapons and slow-moving objects. They had never faced kinetic weapons moving this fast. The first asteroid hit a Vexari cruiser. The shields held for exactly 0.3 seconds before failing. The asteroid punched through the ship like a bullet through paper. Impossible, Zektar shouted. They're primitives. More surprises came. Earth's old satellites, the ones that provided television and internet, suddenly exploded. But they didn't just break apart. They released electromagnetic pulses that had been hidden inside them for months. The pulses washed over the Vexari ships, scrambling their computers. On Earth, A teenager named Billy Chen sat in his bedroom with 30 other hackers around the world. They had studied the alien code from intercepted transmissions. Now they attacked. Viruses flowed through the confused Vexari systems. Weapons turned on their own ships. Navigation systems failed. Life support began switching on and off. "I'm in their flagship," Billy typed to his team, "making their food dispensers play Earth music at maximum volume." It was chaos, but it was planned chaos, human chaos. Captain Lisa Murphy saw her chance. "All crew, this is it. Remember your families, remember Earth, full speed ahead." The Defiance burst from behind the moon, accelerating faster than any human had traveled before. The Vexari flagship tried to target them, but their systems were fighting Billy Chen's viruses. Lisa knew her ship couldn't win in a straight fight, so she didn't fight straight. She flew directly at the flagship's engine core. The Vexari captain realized what she was doing too late. "The humans are insane," he screamed. "They're going to ram us." Lisa opened a channel to Earth. "Tell my kids I love them, for Earth." The Defiance hit the Vexari flagship at full speed. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface. It looked like a new star had appeared in the sky. The explosion chain reacted to 2 nearby Vexari ships, destroying them as well. Admiral Zektar watched in horror from his command ship. 3 of his vessels were gone. 2 more were crippled by asteroids. His remaining ships were barely functioning through the cyber attacks. Then he received reports that made no sense. Civilian ships were launching from Earth. Cargo haulers with weapons welded to their hulls. Mining ships with drilling lasers turned into weapons. Even cruise ships with armor plates bolted on. Hundreds of them rising from the planet like angry wasps. Every human who could fly was coming to fight. They had no military training. They had no proper weapons. But they had something the Vexari had lost long ago. They had the desperate fury of people protecting their home. A cargo ship captain named Eddie Park broadcasted on an open channel. "My grandfather fought in Korea. My father fought in Vietnam. I drove trucks for 20 years. But today, I'm a warrior. Come get some, you." "Alien bastards!" His cargo ship, loaded with mining explosives, accelerated toward a Vexari cruiser. The aliens destroyed him, but not before he released his cargo. The explosives scattered and detonated against their shields, weakening them for the next attacker. Vexari had superior technology. They had bigger ships. They had trained crews. But they hadn't fought a real battle in 1,000 years. They didn't know how to handle enemies who turned their own ships into weapons, who used viruses and tricks, who kept coming even when they were dying. 6 hours into the battle, Admiral Zektar made a decision that no Vexari admiral had made in recorded history. He ordered retreat. "All surviving ships, emergency jump, leave the system." 5 Vexari warships fled Earth. They left behind the wreckage of 7 of their vessels and 6,000 dead warriors. The humans had lost the Defiance, 43 civilian ships, and 312 brave souls. On Earth, people stood in the streets, looking at the lights in the sky. Some were crying, some were cheering. All were changed. Humanity had faced the galaxy and won. In the command center, General Ross received reports from around the world. "Salvage teams are already moving, General. We're recovering everything we can from the Vexari wrecks." "Good," Patricia said, "because this isn't over. They'll be back, or someone else will come. But next time, we'll be ready with their own technology." Danny. White sat at his station, exhausted but smiling. The recording of his conversation with the alien admiral had already spread across Earth. He had become famous in minutes, but all he could think about was Captain Lisa Murphy and her crew. They had shown the galaxy what humans would do to protect Earth. The battle was over, but every human knew it was just the beginning. The galaxy now knew Earth existed, and Earth had just declared that it would not go quietly into anyone's empire. In deep space, Admiral Zektar sent a message to the Galactic Council. His words were simple but would echo through history. The Zephyrian was right. The humans are unstoppable. The news of the Vexari defeat spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. Every species in the Galactic Council received the battle footage within 3 days. They watched in disbelief as primitive humans destroyed advanced warships with rocks and computer viruses. In the Great Hall on Nexus Prime, an emergency session was called. For the first time in 800 years, every single member species sent representatives. The hall buzzed with hundreds of different languages, all asking the same question. How did this happen? Korthax the Timeless stood in the center again. This time no one laughed. The ancient Zephyrian's crystal body glowed with a soft light as he spoke. I warned you. You did not listen. Now you have seen what humans do when threatened. The Meridian ambassador Solara floated forward. Her liquid metal form rippled with agitation. They destroyed 7 Vexari warships. That should be impossible. Their technology is primitive. Their technology is primitive, Korthax agreed. But their minds are not. Watch the battle again. See how they think. The footage played on the hall's massive displays. The council members watched humans turn satellites into weapons. They watched cargo ships become bombs. They watched a single woman ram her ship into an enemy vessel 300 times its size. They are insane, whispered the Kalari representative. No, said a mechanical voice. It was the synthesis, the machine collective. We have analyzed their tactics. They are not insane. They think in patterns we have not considered. They weaponize everything. They accept losses we would find unacceptable. They fight with something our calculations cannot model. What is that? Asked the Council Prime. They call it hope, the synthesis replied. Even when victory is impossible, they believe they can win. This belief changes their behavior in ways we cannot predict. 3 weeks after the battle, a ship appeared at Nexus Prime. It was ugly by galactic standards. Metal plates welded together, engines that looked like they were held on with prayer and determination. It was humanity's second starship, the Harmony, built from Vexari wreckage and human stubbornness. Ambassador Carol Green walked into the council hall. She was 45 years old, had been a school teacher before becoming a diplomat, and she was about to change galactic history. She didn't wear an environmental suit. The other species gasped as she breathed the station's air directly. Within minutes, her body began adapting. Her skin changed color slightly. Her breathing adjusted. By the time she reached the speaking platform, she looked comfortable. Hello? Carol said in perfect galactic standard, a language humans had learned in 3 months. I bring greetings from Earth. We would like to talk. The hall erupted in voices. How did humans learn their language? How did she survive without a suit? How did they build a starship so quickly? Carol waited patiently. When the noise died down, she smiled. We've been listening to your communications for 2 years. We learned your languages, your customs, your technology. We know about all of you. And now we'd like to be friends. Solara moved forward aggressively. You attacked the Vexari Empire. You are dangerous. The Vexari attacked us first, Carol said calmly. We defended ourselves. We will always defend ourselves. But we would rather trade than fight. The Meridian Empire's leader himself appeared on a communication screen. He was in his palace 20 light years away. The galaxy must be protected from dangerous species. I propose we isolate Earth. No trade, no contact, no technology sharing. Other species began to agree. The older races feared what humans might become with advanced technology. If they could destroy warships with asteroids and viruses, what could they do with real weapons? Carol had expected this. She pulled out a small device and set it on the speaking platform. Before you vote, you should know something. We've already made friends. The device projected images, trade agreements with the synthesis, defense pacts with 3 independent systems, scientific exchanges with the Kalari, cultural programs with 5 smaller species. How? The Council Prime asked. While you were debating, we were talking to anyone who would listen, Carol explained. The younger races remember what it's like to be dismissed as primitive. The machine collective finds our creativity fascinating. Some species are simply curious about us. The synthesis representative spoke again. We have traded with humans for 2 weeks. In that time, they have improved our manufacturing efficiency by 12%. They showed us something called thinking outside the box. We did not know we were in a box until they showed us. On Earth, the changes were happening even faster. Dr. Paul Jones and Dr. Betty Adams led a team of 10,000 scientists studying Vexari technology. They didn't just copy it. They improved it. Look at this, Paul said, holding up a piece of alien metal. The Vexari made this to be perfect. Every molecule precisely placed, but perfect things break catastrophically. So we're making it imperfect on purpose, adding flaws that make it stronger. Betty was working on the faster-than-light drive. They use one type of particle to break space-time, but we can use 3 types together. It's messier, but it's faster and uses less power. Within 6 months, Earth had 30 starships. Each one was different because humans couldn't help but tinker with the designs. The shipbuilders added their own ideas. The pilots requested modifications. Everyone wanted to improve something. Back at Nexus Prime, the debate continued for days. The old races wanted to contain humanity. The young races wanted to learn from them. The middle races couldn't decide. Then something unexpected happened. The Vexari ambassador arrived, not to argue for war, but to support humanity. We were wrong, Admiral Zektar said. He had been demoted after his defeat, but was still respected. We thought strength came from technology and size. The humans taught us otherwise. They fought with honor. They collected our escape pods after the battle. They treated our wounded. They even sent our dead back with respect. He showed images of Vexari prisoners on Earth. They were not in cells. They were in comfortable quarters, learning about human culture, playing something called chess, and eating food specially prepared for their biology. They could have killed our survivors. Instead, they healed them. They could have kept our technology secret. Instead, they're sharing what they learn. They are dangerous, yes, but only to those who threaten them. Carol stood again. We have a proposal. Accept us into the Galactic Council, not as subjects or primitives, but as equals. In return, we will share our perspective, our creativity, our determination. We will help defend the galaxy because it's our galaxy too now. And if we refuse? Celera asked. Carol's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes made several species step back. Then we'll continue without you. We'll trade with whoever will trade with us. We'll explore where we want to explore. We'll defend ourselves against anyone who threatens us, but we'd rather be friends. The choice is yours. The vote was called. It was closer than anyone expected. 151 species voted to accept humanity. 149 voted against. By 2 votes, humanity entered the Galactic Council. But the real change came in the months that followed. Human traders appeared in markets across the galaxy, selling things no one had thought to make. Human scientists joined research stations, asking questions no one had thought to ask. Human explorers went places others thought too dangerous. A young human named Greg Williams opened the first human restaurant on Nexus Prime. Within a week, there were lines of aliens waiting to try something called pizza. It was simple food, but somehow it worked for almost every species' biology. The Kalari ambassador said something that would be remembered in history. We spent so much time looking at what humans couldn't do. We never asked what they could do that we couldn't. Korthax visited Earth 6 months after the vote. He stood in Times Square in New York City, watching thousands of humans rush past. They barely noticed the 10-foot-tall crystal alien among them. They had already gotten used to aliens. A small human child walked up to him. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old. "Are you lost, mister?" she asked. "No, small one. I am observing." "Oh, want some candy?" She held up a bright red lollipop. "It's cherry-flavored." Korthax took the candy, though he couldn't eat it. The simple gesture of sharing from someone so young told him everything. The galaxy hadn't adopted humanity. Humanity had adopted the galaxy. The alarm came at 3 in the morning, Earth time. Every defense station from Mars to the Moon lit up with warnings. Admiral Sam Cooper was already running to the command center when his aide caught up with him. "What do we have?" Sam asked, pulling on his uniform jacket. "Long-range sensors detected something big, sir. Really big. It's not like anything in our database." Sam reached the command center and stopped cold. The main screen showed a massive ship so large it looked like a storm cloud in space. But these weren't ships like the Vexari used. These were alive, organic vessels that pulsed and moved like living creatures. "The Devourers," whispered Commander Alice Brown. "The Galactic Council's old reports mentioned them. They're a hive mind from outside the galaxy. They eat entire star systems." "How many ships?" Sam asked. "We're counting over 3,000, sir. And they're heading straight for the Kara system. That's where the Kalari colony is. 15 million civilians." Sam made a decision that would have been unthinkable a year ago. "Send a message to every human ship, military and civilian. Tell them we're going to war. Not for Earth this time, for our allies." The response was immediate. Within hours, 57 human ships had gathered. Military vessels, yes, but also cargo haulers with weapons bolted on, mining ships with their drills turned into weapons, and even a colony ship that was supposed to leave for Alpha Centauri. Captain Tony Rivera commanded one of those mining ships. A reporter asked him why he was going to fight. His answer became famous across the galaxy. "Those Kalari kids visit Earth on school trips now. They love our pizza. You think we're going to let space bugs eat kids who like our pizza? Not happening." The Galactic Council was in chaos. The Devourers had returned after 5,000 years. Last time, the Council had lost half their fleet stopping them. Now the Council's military was weak from centuries of peace. The Council Prime sent a message to Earth. "The Devourers cannot be stopped. You should evacuate who you can." President John Harper responded personally. "Humans don't run. Send us everything you know about them. Every record, every scan, every detail. We'll handle this." "You have 57 ships," the Council Prime protested. "They have thousands." "Then it's an even fight," John replied. Dr. Nancy Turner led the research team analyzing the Devourer data. She had 48 hours to find a weakness. Her team of scientists worked, without sleep, fueled by coffee and determination. "Look at this," said Dr. Kevin Lee, pointing at biological scans. "Their ships are living creatures, but they communicate through some kind of biological frequency, like insects using pheromones, but in space." Nancy's eyes lit up. "If we can disrupt that frequency, we can confuse them, make them lose coordination." "How?" Kevin asked. Nancy smiled. "Same way we deal with mosquitoes back home. We make noise they can't stand." While scientists worked on Earth, the human fleet jumped to the Kara system. They arrived to find the Kalari colony in panic. Evacuation ships were loading, but there wasn't enough time or ships to save everyone. Admiral Sam Cooper opened a channel to the colony. "This is Admiral Cooper of the human fleet. We're here to help. Stop evacuating. We're going to stop them here." The Kalari governor couldn't believe it. "You have 57 ships. It's suicide." "Maybe," Sam admitted. "But we're really good at doing impossible things. Besides, you're our friends now." Humans don't abandon friends. The human fleet spread out in a formation that made no sense to galactic military standards. Instead of a defensive line, they formed small groups scattered across the system. "Wolf packs," Sam called them. The Devourers arrived 12 hours later. The mass of bioships blocked out the stars. They moved like a swarm of locusts, consuming asteroids as they passed, growing stronger. The Devourer Overmind sent a telepathic message that everyone could feel in their heads. "Surrender. Be consumed. Resistance brings pain." Sam's response was broadcast on all frequencies. "Hey, bug brain, we're humans. We eat things that try to eat us. Ever heard of calamari? You're about to become the galaxy's biggest seafood platter." The battle began unlike any the galaxy had seen. Human ships didn't form battle lines. They attacked like wolves, hitting and running. Captain Ruth Bailey led her squadron in attacks on the swarm's edges, picking off ships and retreating before the mass. could respond. Commander Alex Kim had studied Earth's military history. He used psychological warfare in space. His ships broadcast recordings of Earth's most annoying sounds: fingernails on chalkboards, crying babies, and something called dubstep music, all modified to the frequency Nancy's team had identified. The ow effect was immediate. Devourer ships began moving erratically. Some crashed into each other. The perfect coordination of the hive mind started breaking down. "It's working," shouted Lieutenant Matt Phillips. "They're confused." But the Devourers adapted quickly. They started shielding against the frequency. The swarm regrouped and pushed forward. Human ships began taking damage. The colony ship Esperanza was hit, venting atmosphere. Captain Maria Gonzalez of the Esperanza made a decision. "All non-essential crew to escape pods. Everyone else, we're going to show these bugs what humans do with broken ships." She loaded the ship's cargo bay with every explosive they had, mining charges meant for asteroid braking. Then she flew, straight into the densest part of the swarm. The explosion took out 40 Devourer ships. The battle raged for 6 days. Humans used every dirty trick they knew. They turned damaged ships into bombs. They used boarding parties in power armor to plant viruses in bioships. They even used an old Earth trick, playing dead and then attacking when enemies got close. Pilot Randy White had his fighter's weapons destroyed, so he did something insane. He used his fighter like a can opener, flying at high speed along the surface of bioships, using his reinforced hull to tear open their skin. The Devourers had never seen anything like it. On day 4, something amazing happened. Ships from other species began arriving. First the Vexari, led by Admiral Zektar himself. "Humans stood for us once, we stand with them now." Then the Synthesis arrived, their machine logic having calculated that humans had a 12% chance of victory. "We'll take those odds," they transmitted. Even the Meridians came, their graceful ships dancing between the biomass, their energy weapons finally having something to fight. The Devourers were not prepared for this. In their entire history, prey had never united like this. Species had never fought for each other. The hive mind couldn't understand it. Their tactical algorithms had no response for illogical bravery. On day 6, Dr. Nancy Turner's team made a breakthrough. "The Overmind," she shouted. "It's in the biggest ship at the center. If we kill it, the whole swarm loses coordination." Sam Cooper made the call. "All ships, final push. We're going for the brain." Every human ship, damaged or not, joined the Q assault. Allied ships followed. Together they punched through the swarm's defenses. The colony ship New Horizon, commanded by Captain Frank Rodriguez, made the final run. His ship was already dying, engines failing. "Tell my kids I love them," Frank said. "And tell them Daddy helped save the galaxy." The New Horizon hit the Overmind, ship at full speed. The biovessel exploded in a shower of organic matter. Across the swarm, Devourer ships stopped moving, drifting like dead fish in water. Then they fled. Without the Overmind, individual bioships activated survival instincts and ran for deep space. They left behind 40% of their fleet, dead and drifting. The Allied fleet had lost 31 ships. 12,000 beings had died. But they had done the impossible. They had stopped the unstoppable. On the Kalari colony, 15 million beings watched the victory. Children who had been preparing to die were now cheering for the humans who saved them. The governor sent a simple message to Admiral Cooper. "How can we ever repay you?" Sam's answer summed up humanity perfectly. "Teach us your recipes. We're always looking for new food to try, and next time someone needs help, you help them. That's how this works." The memorial service happened in space, exactly where the battle had taken place 6 days ago. Thousands of human ships gathered, from massive battle cruisers to tiny personal craft. They formed a circle around the wreckage of the Devourer fleet. 40% of the hive mind's ships floated there, broken and dead. Admiral Billy Chen stood on the bridge of humanity's newest flagship, the Phoenix. Through the viewports, he could see ships from 60 different species. They had come to Witness something they didn't understand. Humans honoring their dead while standing in the ruins of their victory. Begin the ceremony, Billy said quietly. Every human ship turned on their lights. In the darkness of space, they spelled out words visible from planets away. We remember. Captain Ruth Bailey's voice echoed through every ship, human and alien, alike. She had survived the battle, but barely. Her left arm was gone, replaced with a mechanical one built from Devourer technology. She began reading names. Captain Marcus Stone, age 34, father of 2, loved baseball and bad jokes. Died ramming his damaged fighter into a Devourer command node. Lieutenant Jennifer Wu, age 28, engaged to be married next month. Dreamed of opening a restaurant on Mars. Died holding the line at Sector 7. Civilian, volunteer Peter Jackson, age 67, retired plumber. Said he was too old to run and too stubborn to hide. Died delivering ammunition to the front lines. Name after name. 12,000 of them. Each one with a story. Each one remembered not as a number, but as a person. The aliens watched in confusion. Why spend hours doing this? The battle was won. The dead were gone. The synthesis recorded everything, trying to understand. Their calculations showed this was inefficient, but their observations showed something else. Every human ship stayed, perfectly still for all 12,000 names. No one complained. No one left. After the last name, silence filled space. Then Billy spoke. They died so others could live. That's the human way. We don't forget. We don't move on. We carry them with us. Now let's get to work. The human salvage crews immediately began taking apart the Devourer ships. But they weren't just scavenging. They were learning. Within hours, Dr. Nancy Turner had identified 17 new technologies. By the next day, humans were already figuring out how to improve them. On Earth, President John Harper sat in his office with leaders. From around the world, the planet had changed. The old divisions seemed silly now. There were aliens in the galaxy and humanity had to stand together. The Galactic Council has offered us full membership, John said. Not junior status, full voting rights. They're scared of us, but they also need us. What's the catch? Asked Prime Minister Chen Wei of China. We have to train their military forces. They want to learn adaptive warfare. The Russian President Mikhail Volkov laughed. They want us to teach them how to fight? They have no idea what they're asking. Yes, they do, John replied. That's why they're asking. 3 days later, Carol Green stood before the Galactic Council again. This time she wasn't alone. 50 humans stood with her. Scientists, soldiers, teachers, engineers, even artists. Earth's gift to the galaxy. We accept your offer, Carol announced. These humans will go to your worlds. They will teach, learn, and share. But understand something. We're not joining you to become like you. We're joining to help you become better. Within a year, the changes were everywhere. Human engineers introduced something called redundancy to alien technology. The Meridians had never thought to build backup systems. Why would something perfect need a backup? Because nothing is perfect, explained Chief Engineer Tony Rivera to a room of Meridian designers. Everything breaks. The question is, what happens when it does? We build things to fail safely. Human doctors revolutionized galactic medicine. Dr. Betty Adams worked with the Kalari, whose people were dying from a plague. The advanced races had tried complex genetic modifications. Betty suggested something simpler. Your immune systems are too perfect, she said. They never learn to fight. You need to get sick with small things to fight big things. She introduced controlled exposure to weakened viruses. The Kalari called it impossible. 6 months later, the plague was gone. Human traders changed galactic economics. They didn't just trade goods. They traded ideas. A human named Joe Martinez opened something called a franchise system. Now there were human restaurants on 100 worlds, but run by locals who paid for the recipes and name. But the biggest change was in defense. The Rapid Response Fleet was created, with human commanders training every species. The first lesson shocked everyone. Forget your formations, instructed General Patricia Ross to a room of alien admirals. Forget your traditions. In real combat, the enemy doesn't follow your rules. You adapt or you die. She showed them human military history. Wars where outnumbered forces won through cleverness. Battles where technology meant nothing against determination. The aliens were horrified and fascinated. 5 years passed. The galaxy had changed more in those 5 years than in the previous 500. Humans were everywhere. And wherever they went, things got better and stranger. On Luna Station, the moon base had become a cultural center. Humans and aliens lived together, worked together, and learned from each other. Children played in the parks under Earth's blue glow. A young Vexari child named Teksha was best friends with a human girl named Lucy Brown. One day, Teksha asked Lucy a question that had bothered his people since the first battle. Why did humans fight so hard? You were outnumbered. You should have surrendered. Lucy thought about it. She was only 8 years old, but she understood something adults sometimes forgot. Because you threatened our families. And humans do impossible things for family. But you didn't know us. We weren't your family. Lucy smiled. Not yet. But now you are. That's what humans do. We make everyone family. Even the scary aliens who tried to hurt us. Teksha's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. That makes no sense. Most human things don't, Lucy agreed. Want to play soccer? Korthax the Timeless stood nearby, watching the children play. Admiral Billy Chen stood beside him, both observing the impossible scene. Natural enemies had become friends. Children who should fear each other were laughing together. Your warning was right, Billy said, but incomplete. How so? Korthax asked. You warned them we were unstoppable. You didn't warn them we were also forgiving. That might be the most dangerous thing about us. Korthax's crystal form hummed in thought. I have observed 10,000 years of galactic history, wars that lasted centuries, hatred that lasted longer. But humans fight viciously and then invite their enemies to dinner. It should not work. But it does, Billy said. Because everyone wants to be part of something bigger. We just showed them they could be. The final scene Korthax recorded for the Galactic Archive showed the impossible. The President of Earth shaking hands with the Vexari Emperor. Human children teaching Meridian youngsters to play baseball. The Synthesis learning to tell jokes. The galaxy's most feared predators, the Shadow Stalkers, working as search and rescue teams with human partners. His last report read, I warned the galaxy that humans were unstoppable. This was true but incomplete. They are unstoppable not because they are the strongest or the smartest or the most advanced. They are unstoppable because they refuse to see anyone as an enemy forever. They are unstoppable because they believe everyone can be better. They are unstoppable because they make the impossible normal through sheer stubborn belief that it should be possible. The galaxy did not conquer humanity. Humanity conquered the galaxy. Not with weapons or technology, but with something far more powerful. They conquered us with hope. They showed us we could be more than we were. And most terrifying and wonderful of all, they were right. The Elder's warning was correct. Humans are unstoppable, but I failed to warn of their greatest weapon. They make you want to be unstoppable too. The archive ended with an image. A human child and a Vexari child. Natural enemies by all logic. Asleep together in a Luna Station library. Exhausted from reading picture books about adventures among the stars. The human child's arm was protectively around the alien. Even in sleep, humans protected their pack, and now the entire galaxy was part of that pack.